Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. We're here in Brookshire County on our Tacoma construction materials line, and in this video we're going to be focusing on Tacoma, getting a larger cargo station in the area, connecting the city up to the nearest cargo hub, and extending our highway network to the city. And so I think we're really going to be focusing a lot on the city of Tacoma in this video. At the end of the last video, I mentioned that we want to get this cargo station probably in a bit more of an advantageous area for us. So outside of this little crammed area of the city, we'll get it out somewhere where all these trees are, so that we can also connect it up to our line that will then connect us to the cargo hub. And then from there, we can extend some of these roads from Tacoma out towards this cargo station, and then we can start delivering those resources into the city of Tacoma. And then on top of that, we're going to at least try to extend this highway towards Tacoma. I don't know if it will actually connect to anything, or I don't think we'll be doing any meaningful connections to Tacoma. We might just have it drop off on one of these roads out here. But I think we will try to extend this main highway extension out towards the city. We'll figure out how to get through this whole area, what we're going to do with this mountain section here, and then how we want it to sort of run along with this country road and our train line here. And so with that, I think let's just get right into moving our cargo station. Again, we're going to get it somewhere in this area. We can reroute these tracks to then connect up to there. Now we will have to have some bypass tracks, since some of these construction materials do go to the cargo hub, and so we don't really want it going through our station if it's not stopping there. So we'll try to get something placed to get all of that situated, and then I think we'll be back after the station's placed, and then we can go through extending our roads, filling in this space, and everything else that we would need. Alright, and so here's our completed cargo station for Tacoma. So you can see we have two sets of tracks that come in and stop at the station, and then we have our bypass tracks for our line that will be going from the construction materials plant to the cargo hub. So I think that should be everything we need. We'll just then have to set up some truck stops out in this area, and then those will deliver the resources into Tacoma. So now I think we just need to make sure our lines are set up properly for here. So we did move this one over, and we have our train depot out here. We did sell our train that was currently running, so let's make a new one. Let's first take a look at Tacoma. Tacoma needs 727 construction materials. I don't think we're going to get all of that out of this one industry here. So I think, let's say, maybe we shoot for 200 or 250, which would be a significant improvement from what we previously had. And then we'll go from there. So Let's build our train quick. Alright, so here's our train. We're going to run a heavy Pacific 462 with 15 cars behind it. And this should be okay. I'm not sure if it'll be perfect. Our main issue is because it's such a short line, we want to be able to make sure we can get up to our top speed relatively quickly. So we went with a slightly shorter train and a lighter engine with under 2 million running cost, just to hopefully be able to have this work. So let's set this on the right line, and then I think from there let's see how it runs. And so real quick, let's take a look at our line, and this says we'll be operating at a line rate of about 400, which does greatly overshoot what our target was, but I think it's still doable given that the industry can output a maximum of 800 once we sort of optimize all the lines coming in. So we'll roll with the 400 coming in through there. So now we need to actually deliver these into Tacoma, and before we can generate demand, I think we're going to have to first delete this truck station. And we can leave this road depot here. We might move it, but we do need to get a truck station placed over here somewhere. So I think let's just continue going out this way. And then in here we can get a truck stop. Alright, so I think this will be an adequate truck station for now. I think that'll get the job done. And we're currently dropping construction materials off right here. And so let's pull up an unload stop and see. So it doesn't look like that's actually covering any of our construction materials. It looks like those have been pushed mostly into this area of the city. So I think we're going to need to place a new stop, and we'll get that placed. I think right about here covers pretty much all of what we could reasonably get with one station. I suppose we can get another stop down here later, but that'll probably be once we're able to deliver more than the 400 that we're looking to bring in. We can then manage this line. We'll pretty much just have to start from scratch, bringing those from here into here, and then making sure those are loading the correct things. So construction materials from the cargo station, unload everything in the city, and then of course we need to upgrade these trucks since these are still running on steam. And so let's go with some of the Ford Model 77 trucks, and let's look for, I suppose it doesn't matter which one of these we go with. Let's just go with this one. That brings our rate up to 140. That's not awful, but we do need to get that up to 400 for this to work. So we'll duplicate that. That gets us up to about 280. And I think one more should get us to around the 400 that we'd be looking to bring in. So we can keep that just like so. And we should start to see these spread out throughout the city. Alright, so now we do have our train here making its way back to the station. We'll see how much it's able to pick up, see if the demand has shifted, but I think we're going to have to definitely upgrade our trucks and the amount of vehicles we have bringing stone to this construction materials plant. I think we're going to be looking to get this industry fully maxed out in order to serve all the needs that we currently have. So now we have our train coming into the station. Let's see how much this picks up here. It's looking like a good amount, but ultimately I think it's leaving only about half full at the moment. So let's definitely try to get this number higher up. It is a 1-to-1 ratio, so getting 800 stone down on this line shouldn't be too hard. And I think our first order of business is going to be upgrading these roads. Let's go with these light paved roads. I feel like that would be a little bit more appropriate for this area. We'll upgrade everything and then all the way up to the quarries. And then I think we'll leave the part when you enter unpaved dirt roads. I feel like that would make the most sense. Alright, so now with everything upgraded here, let's take a look at our truck line coming into the construction materials plant. So we're currently only bringing in 365 stone. Well, let's see if we have any better trucks that could do this a little bit easier. And it looks like maybe these Opel Blitz trucks might be better. They can definitely carry more and they're much faster, so let's replace with those. And that almost brings us up to the 800 that we already would need. We'll just add a few more until we reach that limit. And so now we're sitting at just over 800. That should be able to deal with all of our demand. And I don't think we need to change much, as things were already running pretty smoothly up here. If we take a look at some of these quarries, these are already outputting as much as we would need. So I don't think there's anything to do here. Now, one thing to note that I think might be useful in the future, I think we have two options when it comes to getting more construction materials out here. I think we can either expand upon this industry, so we could add a second one, or do our own custom industry and get even more construction materials out of it. Or on the other side of the quarries, we do have this construction materials plant sort of on this peninsula between the two rivers that we could start to use. Now, the only issue with doing this is we won't have easy connections to the cargo hub, so anything coming out of here might have to go directly to cities. However, Tacoma and Lincoln are both on the river, so we might be able to get some boats going if we were to end up using this industry farther in the future. But anyway, it's going to take a while for these numbers to update. They'll slowly grow. If we look at our consumers here, we have Tacoma taking the larger share of these numbers. Then next is Roswell, Lincoln, and Pittsburgh, since those are all connected to the cargo hub. And if we look at our cargo hub train, that's only able to take 165 construction materials in. And this train going into Tacoma can take 425. So I think what we maybe want to do is get a second one of these trains going. Now, this might be a little bit overkill, as I don't think we need to be bringing that many construction materials out of this station. But later on, when we do start to upgrade our trains coming out of the cargo hub, I think having that extra capacity to be able to transport more construction materials out of here will come in handy. Alright, and so I think the next thing that we're going to do while we wait for things to update here is, I think, getting this highway connected up. I think we'll get the highway connected up to Tacoma, and then we'll do a little bit of expansion here just to fill in some of these empty spaces. But I think what I want to do is get this highway extended. We're not really going to be adding connections to it. I think we're just going to figure out how we're going to get here, and then we'll just dump it off onto this street. And then later on in a future video, we can worry about how we want it to either cut through the city or come around the city, however we want to end up connecting that. So I think we'll be okay to just pretty much drop people off right onto this road. And that'll help with our private transportation coming from Houston, Salt Lake City, maybe Portland, although that's a bit of a drive at that distance. But getting that connection made will be important, since right now we don't really have any private connections between these cities. So in doing so, that'll just help us ensure that anyone that's not able to take public transportation does have access to private transport to get to whatever destinations they need to, and that'll just overall help grow these cities even bigger. Alright, and so while we're building this, I think I want to keep some important connections in mind as we do this. So I think really what we're going to do is we're going to extend it straight until we get to somewhere here where we're going to start to curve around, and then somewhere in here eventually we're going to have an interchange where we'll have the highway come off and come down this side of Houston, so then it can connect into these neighborhoods. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to curve it around. We'll have an interchange here. We're not going to add the interchange in, but we will just sort of leave space for it, and then we'll curve around, come through here, and then connect up to Tacoma. And so I think with that said, let's just get this highway built, and then we'll be back once that's all done and finished. Alright, and now we have our highway connection between Houston and Tacoma set up. Let's just quickly walk through it. So we're going to do this in the reverse order we built it. So we're going to start here in Tacoma, where we just sort of dump off onto this road. I'm not really sure how we'll work this into the city, but for now this is good enough. And then coming over through here, we have our country road come under our highway, and we have this bridge here. I wasn't able to get this bridge any shorter without it causing issues, so I think this looks good enough. And then our highway meets up with our train tracks here, just following along with those, coming across here all the way out until we get to the mountains, where you'll see we enter into a pretty long tunnel, but I think it's well justified. Coming out here, we get into a pretty steep section, as we do have to climb quite a bit coming up here, and then flattening out before we can start to see Houston out in the distance. And then, of course, we start to slowly descend as we make our way towards Houston. And then coming up to this corner here is where our interchange will be, heading towards the Houston neighborhoods. But we take a quick turn here, come across our main road in Houston. So this will be fun to connect up when we get the chance. And then we curve around and then connect up into our existing portion of the highway. And so I think this highway will be very exciting to see as it continues to expand and connect. I'm really liking how it carves through our landscape. I think we're being pretty thoughtful about it, and I'm pretty excited to see how much use this will get, especially since this highway basically mirrors our train line that we have. But I think there will definitely be specific use cases for each line depending on the person using it. But let's see here. Yeah, we're obviously not getting any demand on this. I think, first of all, we don't have a connection here at our Houston main road, so that would probably draw a lot of people, but anyone who wants to go from Houston to Tacoma by the highway currently has to go to our existing area over here, which at that point is just too far out of the way. Now, what we could do really quick is just throw on some really lazy connections to our main road. So I think maybe, I don't think we can get this to connect. Actually, I think we could get this to connect, so let's quickly connect these up. This isn't going to be our final on and off ramps. I definitely want to come through and make these look really good, but I think this is just more for a connectivity's sake. So we can get that there, and then the last connection comes up and then connects to the highway here. And now maybe we'll start to see some private transportation start to use this, especially as people want to come to and from Tacoma. But for now, we'll leave that, and we'll see what kind of demand we can generate by the end of this video. And so lastly, coming into Tacoma, we can see we are well below our target population. So we are looking to get to 5,300. Currently we're at 4,100. You can see population has been exploding here in Tacoma. So I think what we're going to do real quick is expand the city a bit more. I think we'll fill in a lot of this area. We'll sort of cap this section off. We'll do some cleaning up around this area, as this is a little messy since it looks like the AI has taken over a little bit. And then I think we might also just fill in this area extending out to our cargo station. I don't know if we'll expand upward too much. We may get one or two more blocks, but we're pretty much just going to expand the area that Tacoma can build in, and hopefully we'll see it reach its target population here pretty quickly. Alright, and so I think we're going to leave Tacoma off here to grow. We added all of this in here to connect up to our cargo area. We filled in a few of the streets down here. I'm not too sure what I want to do because a lot of this is actually very hilly. If we pull up our topography map, you can see it is quite steep in some of these sections. So I'm not too sure how we want to go about filling these in, but we did add a few more streets. We didn't add any blocks up here, but I think that's fine. And then we did clean up a little bit with this train track. We turned this into a concrete retaining wall just so that the buildings can pretty much build up all the way right up against the tracks here, and they don't have to worry about the terrain. And I think this came out really nice. I think Tacoma's really built now to grow and is ready to really just explode in population, much similar to Houston. We pretty much have all of this area that can just turn into city street grid. We have this whole area where we're going to turn into much lower density, probably residential areas. And then we have this cargo station now where we are ready to bring in a lot of new resources into Tacoma. Alright, and so let's take a closer look at everything we've built so far in this video. And then when we come back, we're going to take a closer look at the lines we built and make sure those are running okay, and then we'll talk about some next steps and future projects. Alright, and so now that we're back, let's take a closer look at our lines that we've put in. So, starting off here with this train, that's still operating at the line rate of 420. Let's make sure this industry is set up. It's set to produce 800, and shipment is at 676. So it looks like overall we're not really requesting the full 800 amount at all of our stops. It looks like we did end up overshooting this line a little bit after upgrading and adding some trucks. So let's just go ahead and sell a couple of these so that we're only down to the 800 that's required. So we'll keep it a little bit higher at 857 just to make sure that we never really fall under that number. But these trucks will slowly spread out as they go through. But if we take a look here at our consumers numbers, we can see Tacoma is our highest consumer, which is as intended, but it's only consuming 338, and I think that's because our truck stop here doesn't really cover quite as much as it did before. I think once some more buildings start to pop in, maybe on this road and down here on these roads, we might be able to get those numbers back up a tiny bit more, but I think we do need to split up our construction materials line if we want to get the most out of that industry. But for now, I think this is running perfectly okay. If we take a look at the finances, that's our cargo hub line. If we take a look at the finances of this train, it does seem to be doing pretty well, so I'm not too worried about it, even if it's not taking a full load of construction materials every time. So we'll leave that, and that'll be an issue we look at much later on, as it's nothing too pressing at the moment. And then I think next the only thing left to really look at is our highway, and we can see that we do have some people using it. It looks like we have 2 people, or I guess 1 person now. I'm not sure why some of these numbers aren't updating, but 2 people coming from Tacoma to Houston, and then 1 person coming from Houston to Tacoma. And over here we can see they are pretty much all people just coming to and from Houston or Tacoma, as this section of the highway isn't really in use quite yet. I think once we get maybe another highway connection in here, or maybe we just get more buildings and demand up around this interchange, we might start to see some people coming all the way up this way, or even coming all the way from Salt Lake City or Portland. But again, I think that's going to take a while until we get faster private transportation, because I still think a lot of the reason we're not getting too much use out of our highways is just the fact that these cars still don't go too fast. If we hop in one of these cars real quick here, we can see they still go at a max speed of 31 miles an hour. And I think later on those get up to closer to 60 or even 70 miles an hour. However, this is promising, seeing that our highway is working. This will be great for truck and bus transportation between cities as well, as time goes on, and once we maybe decide to use trucks to move things around. So for instance, maybe we can just direct ship by truck on the highway into Houston some food, instead of by boat sending it to the hub over here and then by train back. Although this is the most probably profitable way to do it, I think it would be nice to get some of our own trucks on these highways eventually. And so thinking about some next steps here, obviously we want to figure out how we can integrate this highway into Tacoma a little bit more. I'm not sure if we want it to sort of cut straight through one of these city blocks. That would greatly sort of decrease the city population, but I think it could be pretty useful, especially in the situation that Tacoma's in, to maybe bring this up and around this way, and then swing it down one of these neighborhood blocks. But again, I'm not too sold on much of anything at the moment. Maybe we do just cut it short and we do a tunnel under most of this, so it's not disruptive to the city too much. But I don't think we're going to tackle that right away. And then while we're on the topic of Tacoma, now that we have this cargo station here, I think we could have our cargo hub train that stops here and picks up construction materials. I think on the trip back we can have it come here and stop and drop off some resources for Tacoma. I think we have access to tools, food, and maybe goods that we could bring on the train that goes to the construction materials plant, drop off those resources here, and then continue on the trip. So that's something exciting, although Tacoma is growing just fine. I think maybe once we're ready to really grow Tacoma a lot, we can start to do that. And then looking on the other end of our highway network, I think I want to grow Allentown a bit more. I think I want to maybe connect our highway on this end over to Allentown, much similar to how we did with Tacoma. We don't have to worry about how we're going to integrate it with the city, but we could just get a quick connection and then worry about that later. So I think that might be one of our bigger next steps, because again, getting that private transportation, especially to a city like Allentown that's sort of secluded on the map at the moment, I think that could be a great benefit to this city as a whole. And so with that, I think that's going to be all for this video. So if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.